Reason I think, man, we don't do it anymore because you guys don't respect us anymore.
Okay.
Second, you guys don't need us anymore. I don't need it, man.
Sitting out here struggling to get this in my car. Men are walking back and forth. No one is trying to help me.
But why should they? And why would they even want to? After all, women have been telling men over and over again to leave them alone. Women are independent. They don't need men. And now some are complaining when men are actually listening to them.
Don't help anymore. They rush and sit down on trains and buses before women and pregnant women and elderly are sitting down. It's just a hot mess out here. But
Yeah, in my opinion, the whole treat a woman like a woman just because she's a woman, that's over. Certainly in my life is over. Because I'm not going to treat some feminist who probably hates men. Oh, and by the way, specifically straight white men. I'm not going to all of a sudden treat her so nicely or treat her like a woman or treat her like a lady when she's this boss babe, don't need no man, straight white man, male privilege, anti-male, misandrist. No thanks.
Oh, man.
Because saying something like that is a very clear message to most men that one doesn't even want them around. Yet at the same time, one is expecting those same men to protect you.
Me Too movement is full of liars and people who try to use the system to gain and make money off of the men they're accusing. And also, what did you think was going to happen? You create this movement of feminism that pretty much domesticates men and tells them that they need approval and consent from everything they do. They are to walk on eggshells around women. They are oppressors. They are toxic. What did you think was going to happen? Like, did they really not see this coming? That guy was speaking facts.
You ever seen those videos? And I'm going to speak to New York City. I come from New York City. Have you ever seen those videos that pop up from the subway where you'll see a woman being harassed on the subway by I don't know who, and there's a bunch of guys just sitting there watching and they don't do anything about it? Yeah. What do you think is causing that trend, particularly in cities like New York City and Los Angeles, among men?
I think this whole teaching boys that they're equal to women and women that they're equal to boys doesn't help. I think that men, by and large, and this, if any man hears this and isn't just upset, I don't know what you are then, because men are just weaker than we were before, statistically speaking.
This is
when you go to a bar, who's supposed to buy women drinks? Men are. Do you see that as often as like years and years ago? All costs.
I get all that, man, to protect.
Even
that,
when
blah,
girls
blah,
are
blah.
fighting with each other, like it is so ugly. It is the ugliest thing that there is men around and they're not doing anything.
But why do you think men don't do that anymore? Because they used to do that before. But why do you think they don't do that anymore? They stopped doing that.
Why do you think you're a man? You tell me.
First of all, good question. The reason I think, man, we don't do it anymore because you guys don't respect us anymore.
Okay.
Second, you guys don't need us anymore. I don't need it, man. I'm a strong woman, independent. You're independent, you're strong. What do you need me for? What do you complain to me not protecting when you already have everything that you want? I'm a buck. What do you need me for?
I think
Why are men less inclined to help modern women? Isn't it a paradox in our so-called progressive society? It's a question that often lurks in the corners of our collective consciousness, but rarely sees the light of day. We live in an era that champions equality and empowerment, yet we find a peculiar trend emerging. Men, it seems, are less likely to extend a helping hand to women. What's causing this shift? Let's delve into the reasons behind this perplexing behavior. Modern feminism. It's a term that has gained much traction in the last few decades, but how does it affect men's willingness to help women? In a society where gender roles and expectations are constantly evolving, the impact of modern feminism is profound. This social and political movement has brought about significant changes in how we perceive men and women. However, it's also had some unintended consequences. One of the more striking manifestations of modern feminism is the rise of statements like, "I don't need no man," or "F all men." These phrases, often used as rallying cries, are intended to empower women and promote self-reliance. But they can also have a discouraging effect on men who might otherwise be inclined to help women. Imagine you're a man hearing these phrases. They convey a message of rejection, a dismissal of your worth and potential contributions. It's not hard to see how this could make men less inclined to help women, even in situations where help might be needed or appreciated. This disconnect is not just a matter of hurt feelings or bruised egos, it impacts how men and women interact on a daily basis. It influences the willingness of men to assist women, not out of a sense of obligation or superiority, but out of a genuine desire to help. So it's not just about the phrases themselves, it's about the attitudes they represent and the impact they have on society's perceptions and behaviors. If we want to foster a culture of helping and support, we need to be mindful of the messages we're sending, both explicit and implicit. So it seems that the very movement that aims to empower women is creating a rift between the genders. Equality, it's a term we all strive for, but does it always play out fairly? Let's delve into this tricky terrain of selective equality. It's a term that describes a situation where the pursuit of equality is not consistent, but rather selective. Some women demand equal rights only when it suits them, and this has created a bit of a conundrum for men. Imagine being in a chess game where your opponent changes the rules halfway through. At first, it's all about equal opportunities, equal chances, and equal risks. But suddenly, when it's convenient, the game changes to, I don't need no man, or F all men. It's like being in a game where the goalposts keep shifting. It's not that men don't believe in equality. On the contrary, most men champion the idea of a world where everyone, regardless of gender, has equal rights and opportunities. However, it's this selective application of equality that can be a bit discouraging. It's akin to being told, I want you to treat me as an equal, but only when it's beneficial to me. You see, this selective equality dilemma can create a sense of confusion and hesitation in men. Should they extend help to a woman who asserts her independence fiercely one moment and then expects chivalry the next? It's a bit like walking on eggshells, isn't it? Moreover, it's not just about the inconsistency. This selective pursuit of equality can also lead to a sense of imbalance. It's like being in a tug of war where the other side lets go of the rope when it's convenient for them, leaving you to topple over. In essence, the selective pursuit of equality can inadvertently discourage men from extending help. It's not about the lack of desire to help, but rather the fear of doing the wrong thing. Men are left wondering, should I help or should I respect her independence? Thus, the selective pursuit of equality seems to be another factor contributing to the reluctance of men in helping women. Let's talk about gratitude, or rather, the lack of it. Picture this, a man lends a hand, helps out, goes out of his way, only to be met with indifference or worse, ungratefulness. This scenario isn't uncommon, and it's enough to make anyone think twice about extending their kindness in the future. We can't ignore the fact that gratitude is a two-way street. It's the fuel that keeps the engine of goodwill running. When someone helps us, acknowledgement and appreciation are the least we can offer in return. But in many situations today, men find themselves on the receiving end of a lackluster thank you or no acknowledgement at all. Now let's be clear, we're not saying that men help with the expectation of praise or reward. But a little appreciation goes a long way in fostering positive interactions. It's human nature to want to feel valued and respected. So, when men continually face a lack of appreciation, it's no surprise they may become less inclined to help out. This lack of gratitude isn't just about saying thank you. It's about recognizing the effort, time, and sometimes even personal sacrifice that someone has made to assist. It's about acknowledging that they didn't have to help, but they chose to. And when this recognition is missing, it can feel like a slap in the face. Imagine how discouraging it can be to offer assistance, only to feel unappreciated or even disrespected. Over time, this can lead to a sense of disillusionment, creating a barrier that makes men hesitant to step forward in the future. After all, why put yourself out there if your actions are likely to go unnoticed or unappreciated? The issue here is not about seeking validation or fishing for compliments. It's about fostering a culture of appreciation, where each act of kindness is acknowledged and valued. It's about creating an environment where people feel motivated to help, not discouraged or belittled. Indeed, the lack of appreciation seems to be another significant factor in this issue. No good deed goes unpunished sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? But sometimes that's exactly how it feels. Let's delve into the heart of the matter, the fear of misinterpretation. Picture this. A man offers to help a woman, perhaps by fixing a flat tire or carrying a heavy box. His intentions are pure, just to lend a helping hand. But instead of receiving appreciation, he finds himself on the receiving end of a suspicious glare, or worse yet, labeled as a creep. This isn't an isolated incident. Men across the globe are finding themselves in similar situations. They are being falsely accused or misunderstood for their acts of kindness. And these allegations aren't just embarrassing. They can cause serious harm. ruining reputations, straining relationships, and even leading to legal troubles. It's a precarious tightrope to walk. On one side, there's the inherent desire to be helpful, to be a gentleman, to extend that helping hand when someone is in need. On the other side, there's the fear of misinterpretation, the anxiety that their intentions might be misconstrued, and the worry about the potential backlash. And it's not just about the fear of false allegations, it's also about the fear of crossing invisible boundaries. In today's world where everyone is hyper-aware of personal space and consent, offering help can sometimes be seen as an intrusion. Men are often left wondering, will my offer of help be seen as an encroachment? Will I be perceived as overstepping? This fear of misinterpretation, coupled with the lack of appreciation we discussed earlier, often leads to a reluctance to offer help. It's a protective measure, a way to avoid potential discomfort or conflict. But this doesn't mean that the desire to help has disappeared, it's just been overshadowed by the fear of the consequences. Thus, the fear of misinterpretation adds another layer to this complex issue. It's not just about the changing dynamics of gender roles or the rise of feminism. It's about the fear of misunderstanding, the fear of crossing boundaries, and the fear of facing undeserved repercussions for an act of kindness. So we've explored the various factors that can discourage men from helping women in our modern society. Let's take a brief trip down memory lane to recap what we've discussed. We began with the impact of modern feminism. Some modern feminists have adopted phrases like, "I don't need no man" or "F all men," which can create a sense of animosity and discourage men from offering help. We then delved into the issue of selective equality, the idea that some feminists may only advocate for equality when it suits them. This can lead to a perception of double standards, further dissuading men from stepping in. Next, we touched on the lack of appreciation often experienced by men who do help. The absence of a simple thank you can make a man question whether his assistance is valued or even wanted. Lastly, we addressed the fear of misinterpretation. In some instances, good deeds have been twisted into accusations or misread as creepy advances, making men wary of lending a hand. These are complex issues with deep societal roots. However, acknowledging them is the first step towards progress. By understanding these factors, we can work towards bridging the gap and fostering a more supportive and understanding society. Let's strive to create an environment where help is offered and received with goodwill, irrespective of gender. Because at the end of the day, we are all in this together.